Hello everybody, Vicky here. I hope everybody's well. Today I will be working on Rachel from Roxy Creations weekly challenge, long thin collaged tags using our big stamps on them. So what I've got in front of me here is a tub that I've taken out some neutral scraps from, and we will be just sort of like loosely putting them into like piles. They're printables. It's at the top of the screen there. I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I don't know whose they are, but I'm just trying to get a couple of little piles so that the papers that have got something printed on them, plain papers. Now that one now, that is my drop sheet. I think you all know by now. I have a piece of paper that I work on top of, and it catches all the over the spray and the inking when I'm doing it, and then I just cut it up and use it in collage, or maybe punch a butterfly or something out of it. It's just copy paper, and it's copy paper that I've got from Graham that he's used. So what I've done is to get a masterboard or to get a surface to do my tags, I've got hold of an old Reader's Digest condensed novel. Now they're, as you know, they're not really that big. I didn't measure the size of them, but all I'm doing is going through and I'm just joining them together. You don't have to be really too fussy as long as they line up and they sit flat, because when we get to do the collage on the other side, our pieces of paper are going to be going over that join as well, so that will strengthen it up so it looks a bit flimsy. So there I've got 4 together, and I've just missed a bit of glue there. There's a bit of a tear in that, but that won't matter. So now I think, we're just going to start doing the collage. Now what I've done is I've torn bits of paper, and I'm mainly working with rectangles on this, all straight edges. Oh, excuse me, I've got the yawns. I'm sorry about the noise you can hear in the background. That's Graham out in the workshop. He's working on a project for me. So we're just going through here, and we're just trying to get our masterboard done so that we have something to cut up for our tags. So it's just a matter of just putting it down where you think it looks good. There's no right or wrong. They are bigger pieces than what I usually do, and it was really quite a bit of fun using the bigger. Now I am now cutting the masterboard down into 7-inch strips. So my tags are going to be 7 inches long, and they will be 3 inches wide. And that bit there, cut there, that will make a tag. So what I've done is I went through and I just squared them all off. Made sure that each edge was straight. And now what I'm doing is I've got some manila folders that I've tea-dyed and stained, and I'm using them as the backing for these tags. I did the collage on the thin paper, and there's quite the papers that I've used quite big pieces for the collage. So what happens is the more paper obviously you use, the stronger your tag is going to be. But because mine didn't have a real lot of strength, I thought with them being as long as what they are, they would buckle trying to get them in and out, or particularly back in to pockets. So I've decided to just put them on a base, and that base is a manila folder that's been coffee stained. And then also too, just a minute ago you would have seen me, just as you're going through, check and make sure that you have got everything on the top glued down, and then just pop a little bit of extra glue on it if you come across. It's not a big deal. Just pop a little bit more glue on it, and glue and paper, you can't go wrong. It's got to be our happy place, yeah? So I'm just continuing on with that and continuing on and continuing on. 32 of them. So if someone says mass make to me, it's like you don't come to the table unless you've got at least 35. And I'm laughing at myself because it's just so ridiculous. So I'm cutting these down because of the size of them. They won't fit through my guillotine. So I've squared them all up, got them cut down, and here they are in all their glory. And Roxy's brief was large stamps. So I've got three different varieties of iron orchid. Now they are really big stamps and more designed for furniture restoration, stamping on a piece that you've finished, than what it is for us in our paper journaling journey, because they are so big. But having said all that, you might have a big stamp, but there's nothing that says that you have to use the entire stamp. And you'll see what I mean as we go through. Now I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but what I do, particularly with my collage tags, I have a little bit of something on the back. Not a real lot, just a little, just to break up the back, just to try and make it look just a little bit more interesting. So I've already got a nice pattern on there, so I don't want a great big piece that's going to cover it up. And then I'm just gluing it down on the back, just because it's just an extra little step that I do. It's not really necessary when you've got such a lovely print on the back anyway, but it's just something that I got into the habit of doing, and at the end of the day it doesn't really matter. It makes me happy, and it's collage, they're tags, they're vintage, be happy, be flexible. So I'm just cutting the shoulders into these tags. Now, because they're so thin, I did round some of them, but not all of them. And now, because they are so long and so thin, I've made it a pretty small shoulder on the top. Just because I thought to have a really wide one would look a bit silly. Now, that was what I thought was a good idea that wasn't. What you've just seen me put down there is a little sticker of a doily, and I tried like putting a little bit of colour on it with the red. You can see the red there, and it does come off somewhere along the line. It doesn't look any good, it doesn't work, and it peeled off really easy. So that was the enough for me to be able to just go, you know what, I just will take it off. So that's what I've done. Now what we're going to be doing here and what am I doing? I'm just stamping. I'm just stamping bigger stamps and just like I said. Now this is a really great big long stamp. It's a very pretty stamp, and it's foliage, and it looks nice. And I'm using my 12-inch quilter's ruler as a stamp block because they are, as you can see, really long, and we don't tend to have stamp blocks that big. So you can see that I'm using that stamp even though it is much longer than what my tag is. But who knows? Nobody's going to know that. Look, who knew? Just like that, who knew? So try and find different ways to use your stamps. With this butterfly, I have taken it off the page, but I've just got some stamping happening here for the moment. So just give me a chance to catch my breath, and I will be back with you. So now I'm just using this one. There's not quite as much foliage on this one, so I'm doing a couple of different layers on this, just to try and get that interest and have enough on the tag so that you can see it is indeed stamped. And like I think it might be autumn. The foliage on this is a bit bare. What can I say? You don't have to be crazy, but it helps. Now these are Stampers Anonymous wildflowers, and out of all the stamps that I've got, I would say that these get the most use. I really do just love these. And Tim Holtz has got I think it's called Wildflowers die cuts, and I love doing them in the black, in a solid black, and using them. I guess like a silhouette. I just love the simplicity of the black die cut and the way it sits. This is another Stampers Anonymous. I don't have a huge amount of big stamps, but it's surprising what we've got if we look for it. So the quilter's rule, like I said, that I don't think I'd ever use this to lay down on fabric ever again. It's had a pretty hard life since it's sort of found its way down to the messy end of my desk. So I'm thinking, it might just be dedicated to this end now. Then I won't have to worry about getting inks or something on any fabrics. Now what I've done here is I've used what I think it was wild honey, something like that. And what I wanted to do is kind of wanted something sort of sitting in the background. So I thought that I would just do it in a lighter colour on the background, just to see how it came up, and then put a darker one over the top of that. So anyway, I'm just doing a double stamping on it, just to try and get a little bit more interest in it. I love the stamps, but they do need help doing what we do. They're not designed for small areas, but they work exceptionally well in smaller areas when we think about different ways to use it. So now I think that is quite interesting, actually. Did you realise how many times I say actually? And I mean, seriously, Vic, I need to broaden the vocab a bit. So now I've gone through all the stamping, and I think I'm counting. So I probably could have edited this out. Now, this video, I've got it down to 30-something minutes. When I pulled it in all together, I normally do videoing in about hour blocks, because then once they start getting much bigger than that, they become very difficult to be able to transfer into work on them, to edit them. So I had 12, just shy of 12 hours of recorded footage for these tags alone, and I had to go through and figure out where the beginning was and where the end was, and it is a bit tricky. It's easier to say than what it is to do. So I've brought 12 hours down to half an hour, so it's probably a little bit choppy in places, and I am sorry. I need to find a kinder way on myself, and a little less time consuming way to do my videos. So now I've got all of them stamped, so I'm going to decorate them. Now I don't think we have to actually decorate, don't think that we need, but I thought that, you know what, we've got them out, let's do it. Now these are just stickers that come from one of the variety dollar store type shops. But the other one was Darkroom Door. Now, I wasn't quick enough when it was there. It is one of the best, most versatile and usable stamp sets that you're going to get. It cuts out all different types of tags, and I put half a dozen or whatever it was on one block so that I can stamp half a dozen or so at the same time. I do tend to use my Stampers platform for those, because I like to get they are one thing. I would like to always get a nice crisp stamped image on it, but it doesn't always happen. So now we're up to, I'm just beginning the task of decorating. So that's the front there, and then on the back I must have run out of tea stained manila folders, because that's plain on the back. So now I've cut the shape. I've put that down, but I probably shouldn't have put that down until I put some, that should have been the last thing to go down on the other side there, because it's got a nice raggedy edge. And I've also sewn these tags. I haven't done them all the way round. I've just picked random spots where I was going to be stitching them. There's no reason for it to be where it is, no reason for it not to be. It's do your own thing. And envelopes, I throw them into the tea and coffee stain vat when I'm doing papers, and I use those papers for collage, for backings. Sometimes you'll get a piece that's got the stamp on the top left hand corner, and sometimes it's got like something printed on it. But they're junk journals. It's about using what we've got around, and it sort of like makes my heart smile if I'm repurposing things that otherwise could have just gone in the recycle bin. So what I've done there is, so that as you can see, I'm just ripping things off so that it's not nice and straight and even. It doesn't, there's no rules. You don't even have to do this if you don't want to. This is just me liking things to be sort of finished to the way I see them. And this is why everything blows out on me. This is why I'm only still up to number 5 and everybody else is up to number 10 probably. I have had these, I must admit, I have had these done, I think going on 2 weeks now, and I've just had trouble. I don't know how to say this, girls and boys, but I'm really worried about my videos. Every time I go to do talkovers and to edit, I go to sleep. So I'm thinking I am so boring, I put myself to sleep. So you'll have to let me know whether or not you can stay awake or not. Because you just heard me yawning at the beginning of the voiceover, and this is about the 5th time I've done this voiceover, because somewhere through every one of the ones that I've done so far, I've gone off, I've drifted off, and then I've woken up with a start. And I've been talking. I've kept talking, but it's just drivel. One day I think, just so that we can all have a good laugh, because it really is the best thing you can do for yourself. Do yourself a favour and have a good belly laugh at yourself. It really does make you feel a whole lot better. So I'll be there, and I'll be here, and I'll be very serious, and I'll be watching what's going on, and I'll be talking about what's happening and what's next and why I did this and all those sorts of really intelligent things. And then out of the blue, I'll start talking about Louis and why he did something, or and apparently I do it with Graham when I'm falling off. If I'm absolutely exhausted, I will do that with him. Like, and I don't know how many times this poor man is laid there trying to make sense of what on earth I'm saying. And of course he can't, because it doesn't make sense. I just go off on these rambling tangents. So apparently I can talk too much. I can even talk when I'm asleep now. So this is what happens when I try and do voiceovers and when I edit. And I'm beginning to get a little bit upset, because I'm thinking, I I'm so boring. I can't even stay awake through my own videos. So there's a snapshot into my dysfunctional life. It's meant to make you feel, have a laugh, not for you to feel sorry for me. It's just, I'd like to know. Although I have had a lot of people, and my very good friend Kelly um, has said to me more than once that she's put my videos on to listen to my voice because my voice sends her to sleep. She assures me it's because it's a very soothing. She likes my accent because she's American. So she likes my accent, and apparently I don't talk like a lot of other Australians, which I think is odd. But we've also had that issue when we've been travelling in Europe and in England. People don't pick us as being Australian because we don't sound Australian. We get asked if we're South African. We get asked if we're New Zealanders, a Kiwi, but we never get asked, oh, you must be Australian. And the only person that ever did it was somebody who'd just come back from Australia. So yeah, I don't know what to make of it all, except I'll just pod along and keep laughing and just keep trying to do the best I can, I guess. So I'll just, like I said, stop a minute and have a drink. I'm doing the same thing here, tying off ends of where I've sewn bits randomly on the tags. So we'll just let that run for a minute. Can you hear the tack tack tack? I'm actually cheating a little bit. I'm trying to multitask, and I think it's keeping me awake. So at least that's a good thing. You'll hear me typing on my keyboard. I'm just trying to send a message off to a friend while I'm doing this at the same time. So I don't mean to be rude. Don't mean to leave you all wondering what on earth's going on. But yeah, it's just a lot of decorating now, and I'm going to run out of things to say. So just give me a minute and I'll be back. Okay, so where are we up to? We're still doing it. I mean, we're not going anywhere for a little while, are we? There's 32 of them. I mean, seriously, Vic. And I wonder why. I really seriously wonder why. I get so far behind and get in such a muddle. Mass making, girls, I'm telling you, if the count isn't 20 and over, you just aren't trying. And almost kept, almost pulled that off, didn't I? I'm just, I'm just kidding. If you do 5 and you think that's mass making, that's mass making. You're smart. If I do 32 and think it's mass making, it's mass making. But I don't know about the smart bit because it's easy enough to do the collage for 32 tags. It's easy enough to cut them out and get them ready. But then you've got to do the backs. You've got to do the decorating. It's like it all starts to blow out once you get the bare bones of whatever you're doing done. It's all the decorating that's sort of like, it's like, man. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adding a little bit of stamped texture. That's a crackle stamp. It's a stamp as anonymous. It's really, really good, and I use that a lot to the point where the poor thing's starting to break down a little bit. It's had a hard life. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to use that pretty little bit of lace um, as the top of as for the fibre, and I've decided that a little bit of lace along there would look nice, and I will sew that down into place just like that. It's like magic, isn't it? Now be warned, we've got a visitor. Here she is. I tried to convince her to sit next to me, and it's like, go away, go away. And I had to stop it. Everything stopped. She had a pat, and then eventually she went away. So you can just see on the back of that one where I was saying that I don't do um, I haven't done sewing all the way around them. Now that's a whale, a fish tail, whale tail punch. I don't have one. If you want some, Sue over at Paper Inspiration, she sells them. So there's another one. I've just sewn the tab across the front. What I've been trying to do lately is my journals tend to get really quite chunky. So I'm trying to think of different little novel ways of doing things that doesn't add a whole lot of bulk to it. So it looks like you're getting a look through on what we have been doing. So I've got the Tim Holtz Little Peoples out because I do have an awful lot of them, and I'm using them in another project at the moment. So it's all about using what we've got this year. Use it up. And my ruffles that I've got, my pleated ruffles, they're coming from the sewing end. So they're all bits of scraps that are just totally useless for anything else. And that one that you can see there started out life, Snow White. So there's a big difference. Once you, I suppose if you dunk it in tea, of course there's going to be. Now this is an extra thin one. So they're the ones that I got out of the ends. They were the bits that were left over. And I thought, well, it's long and it's thin, so why not? So we're just having a look at these. And I think we're not far off coming to the end of our video. And I get caught a little bit short trying to say goodbye to everybody. I'm really pleased with the way some of these look. Really, really happy with them. And the extra bit of lace on it just makes them look that and feel just that little bit more vintage. So this is another one. I think I might have stamped that on calico. So I've stamped it on calico and put some fibre underneath it. So yeah, I think overall I'm really, really pleased with them. I've enjoyed doing it, and here we go. I'm putting them out now. So what I'm going to say now is thank you to Roxy for doing the weekly challenges. Yes, I am bringing up the rear and it is number 5. I think you've probably doubled that by now, but I will endeavour to work to get there. So thank you very much for creating the weekly challenge. I will say goodbye to everybody. I hope you like my tags. I hope you enjoyed the process of doing it. You be kind to yourself and be kind to the person standing next to you. And until next time, take care.